And guys, in this next news story, and it's coming from Greater Manchester. And back in August 2024, one of the most significant gangland trials in recent Greater Manchester history was unfolding inside a high security courtroom at Minishull Street Crown Court. On trial was Jamie Rothwell, a man long feared and respected in Salford's criminal underworld. Rothwell wasn't just another foot soldier in the city's ongoing turf wars. He was, according to prosecutors, a trusted lieutenant, a criminal tactician, and a surviving architect of one of the bloodiest feuds in recent British gang history. But as a courtroom prepared to hear the most damning parts of the prosecution's case, which included a web of drug shipments, firearms, conspiracies, encrypted phones and contracts to maim or kill, a chilling silence fell over the proceedings. Jurors who sat patiently were abruptly dismissed the following day without any explanation at all. They were just simply told that one of the defendants had fallen ill, that the case could not continue, that the service was now on hold. However, behind the scenes, this is what happened. Jamie Rothwell had been stabbed behind bars. The attack took place inside the infamous HMP Manchester, better known as Strangeways, on Sunday, August the 4th, which derailed the trial entirely. At the time, Rothwell was housed in one of Britain's most fortified jails, a place meant to contain and control some of the most dangerous men in the country. The courtroom silence concealed the brutal act of violence that had left Rothwell hospitalised and unable to stand trial. Medical reports submitted to the court in the days that followed described him as unfit to participate either physically or mentally for the foreseeable future. The prison service released a carefully worded statement confirming that only 2 prisoners were treated for minor injuries following an unspecified incident, but sources familiar with the matter told a different story. The attack was targeted and it nearly killed him. The implications were immediate and dramatic. The trial, which had already been months in preparation, collapsed, and Judge Alan Conrad, KC, presiding over the case, formally adjourned proceedings, acknowledging the court that it was now wholly unrealistic to expect the jury to remain intact or, in this case, to resume in any coherent form. The prosecutor had begun the Crown's case, conceded that Rothwell's recovery timeline ranged from 1 to 6 weeks, but no one could be sure if he was ever fit to return. However, for years, as we know, Jamie Rothwell operated in the murky shadows of Salford's gang war, a conflict that exploded into national headlines between 2014 and 2019. It was a feud defined by its brutality, shootings in broad daylight, assassinations, machete attacks, and even the shooting of a child. Rothwell was a senior figure within the anti-A-team, a gang locked in a bitter and bloody battle with their rivals, the A-team. At the top of the anti-A-team sat Michael Carroll, a man described in courtrooms and police briefings as a calculating, elusive boss. Rothwell was his right-hand man, and across the divide stood Stephen Britton, the leader of the A-team, mentored by the now deceased gangster Paul Massey, known in the region as Mr. Big. Rothwell's loyalty to the anti-A-team was well known, and it nearly cost him his life. In March 2015, at the height of the feud, he was sprayed with bullets at a car wash in Wigan. Miraculously, he survived. That same year, in July, Paul Massey was executed outside his home by a lone gunman wielding a submachine gun. The assassin was later revealed to be Mark Fellows, an anti-A-team hitman who earned the chilling nickname The Iceman for his cold-blooded efficiency. That followed, the feud spiraled. A 7-year-old was shot on his doorstep in what police called a revenge attack, gone tragically wrong. The intended target had been the boy's father, a close Carroll associate. The bullets missed their mark but hit the child and the city's conscience. After surviving multiple assassination attempts and walking free from a previous trial in 2020, where he was acquitted of plotting to murder 2 A-team associates, Rothwell vanished. His absence didn't go unnoticed, and law enforcement believed he had fled the UK, slipping across borders in an attempt to avoid the heat. He was eventually tracked down in Amsterdam and arrested in December 2020. He returned to Britain in March 2021 under a European arrest warrant, marking the beginning of the end. His name was among those exposed in Operation Venetic, a nationwide crackdown on organised crime that followed law enforcement's infiltration of EncroChat, an encrypted phone network used by gangs to coordinate hits, drug shipments and money laundering on an industrial scale. By the time the August 2024 trial began, Rothwell was facing a damning indictment. He denied all charges at first, but in February 2025, months after the prison stabbing and under tight security, Rothwell stood in court and admitted some of the most serious offences. He pleaded guilty to conspiracy to possess firearms and ammunition with intent to endanger life, conspiracy to supply Class A, conspiracy to supply Class B, and 2 counts of conspiracy to cause GBH with intent. Yet even then, Rothwell refused to go quietly. He denied 5 other charges, including a further GBH conspiracy, drug trafficking of heroin and cannabis, and possession of criminal cash. He was found not guilty on those counts. So Jamie Rothwell's story is one of survival, but also inevitability. He survived bullets, betrayals, international manhunts, and even a stabbing behind bars, but the law has finally caught up. His conviction marks another chapter in decades-long war to dismantle Salford's most dangerous gangs, and his sentencing, which is expected in a couple of months, will likely seal his fate. Whether he serves quietly or remains a power behind bars remains to be seen. Guys, in this next news story, a National Crime Agency investigation has led to the conviction of 3 men for people smuggling offences, including a fixer suspected of being behind dozens of cross-channel small boat crossings. Birmingham-based British national Pistiawan Jamil, who's 54, who came to the UK from Iraq in 2002, had contacts with people smuggling gangs based in France and would broker spaces for his clients whilst also collecting payments in the UK. NCA surveillance officers watched as Jamil met one such client, an Albanian national, Artan Halilajaj, in Birmingham on the 1st of September 2023. Handover of cash took place, and shortly afterwards, Jamil made a phone call in which he was heard to say he had my 3 passengers all good to go, all okay. Artan Halilaj, who was at the time living in Southall, had arrived himself on a small boat from Belgium early that year. He claimed asylum but disappeared from the hotel where he was supposed to be staying, as his claim was processed by the Home Office. Artan was organising passage for his relative Fiorentino Halilaj, who crossed the channel in a small boat the next day on the 2nd of September. His phone was taken into the possession of the immigrant authorities, and it was later handed to the NCA. It was found to contain a contact for Jamil. Over the following days, NCA officers were able to record his side of a number of conversations Jamil had with criminal associates, in which he arranged crossings for his customers, often referring to migrants as pigeons or sticks. On one occasion, he complained that competition in the people smuggling market was driving prices down. In another conversation, he claimed to have made at least $2 million for his criminal networks through his contacts. Another conversation suggested that he was involved in moving a migrant to Turkey from the Middle East and expected to earn around $10,000 from that enterprise. Artan and Jamil were arrested by NCA officers on the 23rd of October 2023, while Fiorentino was arrested the following day at the Immigration Detention Centre where he is being held. Jamil's phone was found to contain information relating to up to 50 people who had entered the UK illegally on small boats during 2022 and 2023, including images taken on boats in the channel. Artan and Fiorentino Halilaj were both charged with 1 count of facilitating illegal immigration, while Jamal was charged with 2 counts. Jamal and Fiorentino both pleaded guilty, while Artan denied involvement, but he was found guilty today following a week-long trial, and all 3 are going to be sentenced on the 3rd of December. NCA Branch Operations Manager Paul Jones said it's clear from the evidence we were able to gather over the course of our investigation that Pistiawan Jamil was a prolific UK-based broker for people smuggling gangs in France. The true number of crossings that Jamil facilitated will never be known, but the evidence indicates that he has been assisting in the movements of migrants illegally into the UK for a considerable amount of time. People smugglers like him don't care about the safety and security of those they transport, and is quite happy to put people in life-threatening situations on the sea in flimsy dinghies so you could just make a lot of money. This is why we're attacking the gangs involved in organised immigration crime, and it remains a priority for the NCA, and we'll do all we can to disrupt and dismantle them.